This week's Torah portion is the Torah portion called Noach, or in English, Noah, named after a ninth generation descendant from Adam, first man on planet Earth. Noah lived in a time where the world around him, society around him, was very corrupt, and people were acting very, very lewd and very low, and God was very upset. So God instructed Noah to build a massive wooden ark. And God said, I will fill the entire world with flooding, and you and your family will go inside the ark and be saved, because you are the only righteous man in the world. And God said, as you're building this gigantic ark, people will come to you and they'll ask you what you're doing. I want you to give them an opportunity to repent. Explain to them that God has told you that He's bringing a flood to destroy the entire earth and everything that lives on top of it. But still, people laughed at Noah and they said, what are you doing? Now, on the ark, there was 3 levels. There was the level for the garbage, there was the level for the animals, and there was a level for the human beings, Noah, his wife, his children, and his in-laws. So 2 of each animal, a pair, a male and female, was brought onto the level with the animals. And 7 animals were brought of the kosher species of animals. Noah and his family are inside this big, gigantic ark that he built, and it starts to rain and pour and flood. For 40 days and 40 nights, it was raining, and it was devastating. And the entire earth was drowned with this major flood. Then for about 150 days, the water was still there flooding the earth and just sitting still, and slowly was going down. And the ark eventually settled on a mountain called the Mount Ararat. Now, Noah opened a little window which God commanded him to make on the top of the ark and send out a raven, which just came right back, so he knew there was no dry land. He sent out a dove, which one of the doves that he sent out famously came back with an olive branch. So he knew there was life starting to grow on the earth. And one of the birds didn't even come back, which is for sure a sign that there is earth. So finally, exactly 1 year after the flood began, God commanded Noah to leave with his family and all of the animals out of the ark and to have children and repopulate the earth. So Noah and his family exit the ark, and Noah right away builds an altar, and he brings sacrifices to God, thanking God for saving him. And God promises him that he will never ever destroy all of mankind again, even if he is angry. And to show his truce and his promise, God sets a rainbow in the sky to show Noah this is his promise, that he will never destroy mankind again. And every time it rains and we see a rainbow, besides for there being a pot of gold on the end of the rainbow, it's also a reminder of God's promise and truce with Noah on that day after the flood. Now, Noah planted a vineyard, as well as he had a bunch of animals with him. So God told Noah, you're allowed to slaughter the animals to eat flesh from the animals, but not while the animal is alive. Any blood which comes out of the animal when it is alive, or the meat that comes out when it is alive, you are forbidden to eat. So, but obviously God says you're not allowed to kill another human being, only an animal to eat. Noah starts setting up his business with his family, and he goes to his vineyard and he starts to get intoxicated on the grapes that he planted. So 2 of his sons are blessed by God because they covered up their father. But one of his sons is cursed. His 3rd son is cursed because his 3rd son, the middle son, named Ham, he actually took advantage of his father's situation and embarrassed him. So he was cursed by God. Now, Noah's children for 10 generations lived peacefully as one nation, until it came 10 generations later when they decided they want to build a massive tower to rebel against God, the creator of heaven and earth. God made a confusion between this giant family that they started not understanding each other's languages, and it was very confusing to communicate. So they had to abandon their plan of this big tower to rebel against God, and they ended up dispersing different places amongst the land, and they separated into 70 nations. Now, coming out of the 10th generation from Noah, we have Abraham, otherwise known as, when God changed his name later on to Abraham, who goes on to becoming the first Jew. And we detail his journey from Ur Kasdim, where his father raised him and gave birth to him. But then he had to run away. He was sent away with his mother because the stargazers saw that there was a redeemer of the Jewish people who would rebel against the idols. So Moses, God tells him to go to the land of Canaan, which is modern day Israel. Now, in this week's Torah portion, Moses ends up in the land of Haran. So that's it for this week's Torah portion. There's so many different stories and such a wonderful, beautiful journey. And we really have this week in the Torah portion the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just a short lesson we can learn from this week's Torah portion. When we see God commanding Noah to go into the ark and to leave the ark, the word ark in Hebrew is teva. Teva also can mean word. God tells Noah, when the world is corrupt, people are very low morale and low in a spiritual level, what is your refuge? How can you be saved? Go into the teva. Go into the words of prayer, the words of Torah study. And these words can protect you from being destroyed with the world around you or the spiritual climate. But at the same time, God commands Noah to leave the ark. There is a time, once we are permeated and inspired through the words of prayer and the words of Torah study, we must exit the ark, leave the words, to go into the world, to elevate the world, and to bring godliness to the world, no matter where we may find ourselves. I want to wish everyone a wonderful week. Thank you for joining to the Rebel Rabbi Weekly Torah. It was so great to see you all. Shalom.